Another edition of Sit Down Uptown, man. Sit Down Uptown. I'm your host and owner of Uptown Comedy Corner, Angelo Sykes. And as you know, we chop it up with the comedians who come rock the house, man. But tonight, it's going to be a little different, man, because we got not just a comedian now, but we have a doggone, a living legend, man, as far as I'm concerned, man. We actually seen this guy just grow up on the screens, and I'm just honored to be able to sit down with him, man. Mr. Carl Payne is in the building. What's up, brother?
What's up, baby? What's up?
How you doing, man?
Thank you, man. Thank you. That's a lovely introduction.
Hey, man, listen.
I'm humbled every time somebody says some wild shit. I'm like, it's awkward. I'm like,
a little awkward, huh?
Yeah,
hey, man, but it's the truth, brother.
I appreciate it.
It's the truth, man.
Appreciate it.
So, Carl, man, I always like to conduct these interviews, man, where I take trips backwards first. All right? So let's just take a quick trip backwards, man, to growing up. I know you from Harlem, New York, man. Mm-hmm. Talk about life as a kid for Carl Payne.
Life as a shorty shouldn't be so rough. No, it was cool. It was cool. So I was born in South Carolina.
Okay.
My father, was stationed down there, and he ended up meeting my mom, who was visiting for the summer, type of thing. And so I ended up being born in South Carolina.
Okay.
But I was raised in New York, and we grew up in the projects, in Harlem, and life was good. Like, you don't know that you in a different situation until you go to somebody else's house who's in a different situation.
Right.
Bad or good. But it was cool. Like, I didn't know money was all one color. I thought 10s were yellow, 5s were, you know what I mean? Like, and
the Monopoly game.
Money came in a book,
right?
That you had to rip out.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. So, but it was fun. It was good, and that's when I first started doing things and got my first training. But it happened because I was following like this girl from my school around. She was in it. Mm-hmm. She was in the industry and all of that, and I used to just follow her around. And she would go do things after school, and I was allowed to kind of like hang out with her because our parents knew each other, so they trusted. Not like today. And so every time she would go to places and she started auditioning for stuff, she'd be like, "You should try out." I'm like, "What do I got to do?" And I just did it. So, whenever people be asking me about how I got started or it's the power of yes. Like, you'd be surprised, man, when you say yes to certain things.
Right.
Like, what kind of doors open.
Gotcha.
And every time I said yes, another door opened. And that's the truth. I didn't know what I was doing, but, I was just... Because sometimes you have these things that are in you, right, that you don't know exist until you put in that situation. Think
true
about
story.
that.
No,
Think about
I'm with
that.
you on that. Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So
that's true story.
Yeah.
So your father was military. So did you grow up through the end of that military life, or was it towards the end? Or
no, it was definitely at a young age. I was definitely on the base. And all that. I had to stop and salute and all that. Yeah, I remember those times. You know what I mean? And I remember also there was a period of time where I forgot he was my dad, like, because he was away. And then, he came home one time. I was like, who the fuck is this nigga? Like, who's just coming through the door? And I was like, oh, yeah, right.
Really?
Yeah. Like, because, because you know how memory works, right?
Yeah.
He was real strict. He was real, military people be strict. They want you, like, I mess up on my homework. He'd be like, do it again. I'm like, the whole thing? Damn, it's just, we can white it out.
Right.
Do it right the first time. You ain't got to do it right again.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had siblings?
Yeah, a brother and a sister. We all 7 years apart.
Okay.
And my sister's name is Shirley.
Get out of town.
Yeah. And that happened before Big Shirley because she used to be, she was a chunky kid.
Okay.
We used to call her double stuff, like double stuff Oreos. So Shirley comes from a couple of different places, Big Shirley.
Wow, and that's information we didn't know.
Plus, Martin had worked with Shirley Hemphill, so like we would come up with some of the names for the show, characters on the show and things like that. We would talk about our different influences, and, so he had a Shirley, I had a Shirley.
You're right. That's crazy. So, in school, were you?
My classroom was on the inside of the building. God damn it! Don't you play with me? Don't you play with me? My bus got there with everybody else.
With everybody else, wasn't small at all, huh?
I'm going straight to hell.
So did you participate in any activities while you were in school? Sports or anything?
Yeah. Like, I was just a typical kid. All of that. you know, but following that girl around, right? She was into ballet. So that was actually the first thing I ever did was ballet.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And you can't be a kid from Harlem wearing tights under your jeans and people asking you where you going every day and be like, yo, I'm getting ready to go to ballet. Nah, that wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
So I lied and said I was taking karate. And then I had to learn how to take karate because, you know, then they want to try you, right? So, and you can't pirouette a nigga to death.
You can't pirouette. No.
You can't do that. So, I mean, you can, technique, but anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, school was I guess that's where I started getting like a lot of my training, but didn't realize it, right? Because like there was this storytelling contest in the second grade, and I was real shy, and so my mom thought it'd be a good idea to enter me into this contest. And basically, you had to read a story in front of your class, but you had to act it out like you was telling a story around a campfire, you know? And I guess whenever I would do it so good or get lost in it that it was like, and I memorized it. You didn't have to memorize it, but I felt it was awkward for me to be standing there and try to do it at the same time. So then I started developing memory skills, being able to look at something once or twice and get it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I won. I did so good in my class that they entered me into the state contest and then the citywide contest, and then you know, and I kept going to like the next level, and I got all the way to the end, and I didn't win, but that kind of opened the doors for what was to come.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. So what, in school, were you a good student?
Yeah. I was definitely a good student. I was always in like the smartest class or, you know, the gifted programs and whatnot. I was usually the only black kid. I was bused to school. You know what I mean? Yeah, school was my thing. Like, but it was also a competitive nature too to it, because you know, all the little Asian kids was always bragging about their A's, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get the A too. Stop playing. You know.
So how was it being bused back in that time? Was it a problem in the neighborhood?
No. Well, yeah, because you know they didn't provide the right school. They didn't provide what we needed where we lived.
Okay.
So, you know, unfortunately, I had to be bused to a zone school that gave those opportunities and gave those things. You know what I'm saying? Because you know they wasn't pouring money into the hood or any of that. Yeah, so, and it was different because again, it was only different until I started visiting my classmates' homes. That's when I knew. Because just seeing them at school don't mean nothing.
Right.
I see you at school, I get on my bus, I go home, you go home. Then I go to their house, and I'm like, house? Oh, y'all got your own room?
Right.
And bed? Oh, this is crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that's real.
For real.
That's real. That's real. So now, after high school, when did the acting thing really start moving? Like, what was your first thing you started doing in that field?
Commercials. I was like the king of Saturdays. Yeah, like in the hood, I was like a hood star, and I was like the king of the Saturdays. And everybody, I had this really big Hershey's commercial back in the day. You can look it up. Y'all gonna look it up and be like, I saw you. Because I was breakdancing off of lockers the whole night. I was big into like hip hop. So commercials was the first thing I started doing, and then this live animated show called Felix the Cat. Y'all remember that shit, huh?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, know the song. Still know the song, man.
Yo, that's crazy. Yeah, all right. So, and those were the first things I did. And then the Cosby Show audition came along. And I basically, I did so good that they flew me and Malcolm to California. And it had came down between him and I. There was another kid that they flew in from Jersey, and this is after auditioning hundreds of kids all across the nation, you know. We had the final auditions in LA, and then we had 2 days of it, and then one kid fell off, and then it was kind of between me and him for the part of Theo. And that was my first taste of heartbreak, too, because, you know, I was like, I felt like and then that happened. And it was the way it happened, because, you know, they didn't call you and tell you later like they do now or whatever. You know, it was very much like, I need you to stay. You guys did great, but not you. Not you.
Wow.
It was like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, face was broken.
Wow.
But, you know, it was the first time Bill called me in his room, and he was like, hey, listen, I just want you to know it was a tough decision. You know, we do things like, you know, and you'll learn that you don't always get a part because it's not because you're talented. It's like there's so many different factors. He was like, and I don't want this to, you know, affect you in a way. I just want you to know you were really good, and I want you to keep doing your thing. So, you know, that was like my first lesson.
Okay.
You know, yeah, and then, you know, then Cockroach happened. That was cool. You know, because I had to sit there and watch that show blow up for a year, thinking, damn, that could have been me. But all of these things is like a test to what kind of skin you got, you know, because it's like you get 99 no's in this business before you get a yeah.
Yeah.
And imagine if you, like, you know, you're a football player, you love football, or you're a basketball player, right? And every time you make it all the way to the final cut, but you don't get chose. You keep doing that enough, you're gonna be like, yeah, I don't know, this ain't for me.
Right.
So it kind of
that happens.
Yeah, it kind of like tells you who you are.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So when you got the call, you know, how was it? What was it? Was it a one-time shot? Did you know that role was going to be a recurring? Like, how did that?
Nah, I didn't know none of that. I mean, I did the audition, but it was a process back then. It was like you have to keep making the cut, right? So you audition once, then you get a call back, then you might get a second call back, and you get a producer session. It was like you had to keep showing up, like, y'all don't know yet. So and then so that was the process. That's how that happened. And then, you know, same thing, got all the way down to the end, but this time it went in my favor. Yeah, and that was pretty dope. And I thought everybody was shooting I thought they shot in a real house. That was the first time I saw a set. And I was like, oh, there ain't nothing back here? Like, it was wild. You know, I had a little learning experience. It was cool. And then from there, it was off to the races.
Yeah, no doubt.
From there, it was off
no
to the
doubt.
races. Yeah.
So how was it, though, man, working with a generation of talent like Bill Cosby?
Best class you could ever have. Best class. Think about it. Like, I mean, you know, I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to be a part of 2 shows that have been
iconic
for the culture, or just in the industry itself. So that's crazy. That's crazy to me. And but at the times that you're doing it, you just work, and you don't know. You know, you just doing what you love.
Yeah.
And so you don't know that the impact it's gonna have. But I think that's the main thing. Like, when you being honest about something, when you working in an honest capacity, right, and you're committing, and you're giving what you're supposed to give to it, you without thinking about the results.
Okay.
Not, I'm gonna work hard so I can just do what you do, and you don't think about it. That's the reward that comes, and then people be like, you know, hey man, I was locked down, and if it wasn't for y'all, man, I wouldn't have made it. Because no matter what was going on, when y'all shit came on, everything stopped, and we was all, and then that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People like, I learned how to speak English, like looking at your show. I'm like, what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. God, you learned slang before? You learn how to say, how you doing? How you doing? Club Shiznit? That was your first?
Right. That's dope, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, everybody stopped when the Cosby Show came on. I mean, that was, you know, that was the
Thursday nights, man.
Hey, that was the show, man.
Yeah,
that was it.
Listen, I remember the first time I realized the impact of the show, I was at a New Edition concert, and everybody walked in, and the lights had just came on, like their opening act had just went off stage. And Eddie Murphy was going to a seat, and you could hear the rumble, and the place was like, you could hear a little, you know, friction. Who else was there? Emmanuel Lewis Webster, I think he was in the building, and you know, because that was a huge show back then.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden, these girls was looking in my direction, and it was like, and I was like, who they see? Who they see? And I'm looking like, who they see? I don't see him. And then the more they started coming, and then I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And it was a swarm of people just came, and the police had to escort me backstage. I ain't even supposed to be backstage, right? Now I'm meeting the group for the first time. They got me behind a barricade. And my best friend at the time, I'll never forget, because we standing there behind the barricade. These girls are like, oh my God, Cockroach, oh my God. My best friend goes, Because he knew. He was like, I'm in. He wasn't thinking about me.
Right.
He was thinking about himself, like, oh, all this residual booty about to be mine. So, and that was the first time I realized the impact.
Yeah.
I forgot about the impact TV had on me.
Okay.
Why would I be choosing to do this if it didn't, right? And I saw the global impact, from then on.
How old were you when you first started that role?
I think I was 14, 15, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. And like you said, you didn't even realize the magnitude of what y'all were doing.
No.
That's
I
bananas.
didn't even comprehend how the imagery of the show at that time was changing the face of how the rest of the world viewed black people and what that was doing for communities and the HBCUs, the enrollment numbers. And I did none of that. Didn't know any of that at the time. Later.
Right. So now you leave this show. What happens between Cosby?
Howard University. I was at Howard University.
Okay.
Puffy was there at the time. It was a good time, too. That was like school days, man. It was crazy. It was definitely crazy. Met a lot of great people at the school who was there at the time, whether it was Taraji, Anthony Anderson, Puffy, whoever. We was all like, that's that class. You feel me? And Mira Baraka. And that was the first time I learned about my own history in ways that I'd never been taught. Because they don't teach you that in school growing up. They don't teach you none of that. And then now I'm at school developing, shout out to HBCUs. Go to the HBCUs. Please make sure you do that. Treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. Because, again, national self-awareness. Like, it was the first time I was aware and had a different sense of pride.
Okay.
For a different reason. Like feeling your ego or feeling some sort of way because you're on stage or because somebody, applauds your talent.
Right.
It's a different feeling when you realize where you come from. That sense of pride is
totally different.
Way deeper. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think every young black person around the country who comes a big advocate for this needs to understand what they're trying to do to our history, what they're trying to erase, how they're trying to take away. They already did it. They already did it with starting with things like the Bible, the King James version, which is the later version because he edited this mug, all the kind of things that they've edited the hell out of us.
Absolutely.
In our history. And when you don't teach a young black person that there are people that look just like you that have done all these amazing things. As a matter of fact, this table, whatever, then they feel a sense of.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing like that sense of
self-pride.
It
does a lot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So was it a challenge for you, at least initially, going to a college, being already a TV star?
Yeah, because I didn't get a fair shake.
Okay.
Because they judge you, right? So when I first got there, I got like this cold welcome, very cold welcome, but not from the girls. All the girls was very like, how you doing? I'm so-and-so. This is, I don't know. I know you're new. And so I was like, all right, cool. So every time you saw me, I was talking to a different girl. But not like that, but because I'm visible, that's who they think. And that's what they're going to think. Like, oh, this nigga's a player. He over here trying to, and I'm just like, I'm just making friends. Like, I don't even know these people. Ain't nobody speaking to me but them. You know what I mean? And so navigating that thing first was interesting. Even meeting Puffy back then, because he was the man on campus. But even attention-wise, now this is happening. You know what I'm saying? But we clicked immediately because it was that same energy. Like, yeah, all right, Playboy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I mean? You in the club. Come on.
Yeah.
So, and then me being from Harlem, it was a quick study after that. I was like, oh, okay, I started selling fake IDs and all kinds of it was on and popping. I was like, oh, I got the lay of the land. I got it. Okay, I'm a freshman. I'm not staying in the dorms with y'all. Y'all too restricted. This is on campus? No, I'm going to stay with my grandmother up the street. All right, cool. I got my own pad. I got my own room. Grandpa just passed away about 10 years ago. I had to clean up in his room. It took me 2 days to clean. Grandma ain't cleaned up shit in his room, okay?
Right.
She had Jet and Ebony magazines stuck together under the bed. This was crazy. So whole place smelled like Pine Sol for a month. But that's what I was doing. I'm over there, you know. And I done got the lay of the land too, because I'm like, okay, I ain't got no money really, because, you know, this is in between that time. I'm still just a kid, but I'm like, all right, I got this. I'm gonna sell these fake IDs. I'm gonna sell these lunch passes. Okay, all of this. Everybody's over 20. Everybody, put a mole on your face. Come on, just make sure before you go out,
right?
Dap it up.
Dap it up. That's funny.
Yeah, it's true, man.
That's funny.
We hustled through.
Yeah,
we hustled.
Yeah, you became a student regular. Yeah,
super crazy.
That's dope. So tell us about the Martin show. How did that come about?
I was on touring with plays, and got a call to go to this audition. My agent was like, "You want to go do this? You know, you got an audition for a TV show pilot." I was like, "What's it called?" She said, "Martin." I was like, "Just one name?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, who is it?" And she was like, "Martin Lawrence." I was like, "I don't think I know him." She was like, "He was in a movie called House Party." I was like, "Dragon Breath?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, cool." I was like, "I just seen him. He's funny." Yeah, but I forgot that was his name, you know?
Yeah.
And I just auditioned, just same process. I'm just doing the work. I didn't think nothing of it. I just did it and then kept going to each callback. And then after the last one, I had just left to go back on the road. And then my agent called me and I had a cold moment. That's when I knew I was going to introduce this character, because she was like, so they're having lunch tomorrow with the cast. Where are you? And I was like, I'm in Michigan. Why? She was like, because they're having lunch tomorrow with the cast. I was like, what does that have to do with me? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she was like, Carl, you got the job. I was like, lead with that. Like, I don't know what the fuck you talking about. So I had to fly back. I think I missed the lunch. I think I missed the first lunch, and then I flew back for the second get together, whatever. And they were fucking with me after. Martin was like, "Oh, so you too good to come back?" I was like, "Oh, come on, man, don't do that."
Wow, so you didn't even know him going to this thing. Wow, that's crazy.
What's crazy is Tommy and I had seen each other. My girl at the time was working at a bank, not a bank, insurance agency. And the bank was across from the insurance agency in the same building. And she would see Tommy all the time, but I didn't know who she was talking about. Like, you know, one time she came home during Valentine's Day with some flowers, and she was like, who gave you flowers? And she was like, remember that guy I told you about? He be coming in here flirting all the time. I was like, yeah, all right, so you just gonna bring the flowers home? Like, you couldn't leave them at work? That's what we doing? So one day I'm driving in a convertible Jeep, stop at the light. This chick sitting at the restaurant on the outside. She go, I was like, how you doing? And then she kind of started blushing. You know, I'm like, okay. So I hit her with the, I see you. And then as I'm driving off, I see Tommy walk up, right? And he looking at her like, what the hell going on? Right? We don't know each other at all. I just know dude from Harlem Nights. I just like, oh, the dude from Harlem Nights walked up. That's this girl. She was trying to holler. He mad. I'm in the passenger seat too. I ain't even driving, so I'm like, So we get to, now we working together. And we clicked. We became friends instantly, right? But we don't, know each other. And cut to the premiere of the pilot. Now we getting ready to meet everybody's spouses, everybody, the director's wife, and we meeting everybody. It's the big party. We done got picked up. Woohoo! I'm about to introduce my girl to Tommy, and he like, hey, knucklehead. Who the fuck is he calling knucklehead? Like, what's up with all this familiarity? And I seen his girl, and I had seen her at the bank after that too. And I seen her twice. And twice she had gave me the cute face, But I played it off. I ain't do no, hey, knucklehead. I ain't hit him back when I was like,
right.
How you doing? Because that's where I'm from. I don't be, And she was like, Carl, you remember the guy I told you about that keep coming into the bank? I was like, oh, that was him?
Wow.
And she was like, yeah. I was like, and then we just had a big laugh.
That's crazy.
And then we became best friends.
That's crazy.
Best friends.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that show, man, again, another iconic show, man. I can just imagine the fun you guys must have had on that set on a regular basis, huh?
Man, I've been posting bloopers lately. Look at the bloopers, man. That'll tell you all you need to know. We used to have a ball. I used to think somebody going to pull the plug, be having too much fun. They going to come and get mad that they paying us to do this. Like, this shit was crazy. We had a ball.
Yeah.
A ball. Absolute ball. Absolute ball.
Wow.
We were kids. We were kids in a candy store.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a couple of bloopers here lately too. Man.
Man.
They're definitely classics, and it's good that we get to see some of that now. You know what I mean? Because you guys just had the reunion not too long ago. I mean, I guess that was a dope experience. Huh?
That was. It was real good, man, because that was the first time we was in the same place or space in like 30 years. We had not been in 30 years. People don't realize that because you see it so much, you don't have a concept of time. You don't realize it's been 30 years.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You feel me? You don't see? Yeah. You don't have that concept, right? Because it's on all these different platforms.
That's correct.
So it's new every time. It's new, and it's new generation. It's new to them, and it's like, and you think, nah, your show was on for like 15 years, right? No, nigga, we only did 5 years.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah.
No, it's hard to believe. I mean, because I still watch it this day. You know what I mean? So it's like, and we kind of, it's one of them things where you kind of feel like you know the people because we watched y'all so much. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
That's a dope experience. So tell us how the comedy.
It's just natural extension of creativity. You know, I mean, that's the crazy, corny, real answer. It's like you see yourself when you're a kid doing everything, right? You put a towel around your neck and you really believe you're Superman. I was running around in my drawers. I knew I was Tarzan. I got scars to prove it. Like, I was fighting cats. I thought they were tigers. Like, nigga, you couldn't tell me. I had to go to therapy. You could not tell me I was not Tarzan.
Right.
And so you grow up admiring all these different characters in your life and things, Richard Pryor, Bill Cosby, storytellers, and you're like, ooh, I want to do that too. But the difference between comedians and actors are on a team. And you can pass the ball, you know, and you know that someone else is going to help carry that weight. Comedian has to hold the ball the whole time.
The whole time, yeah.
And when you realize that the depth and scope of what's happening, you're like, yeah, okay, that scares the shit out of me. But then when you realize you will get put in situations and you didn't know it was in you. When you get put in these situations and then that comes out of you, right? I'm doing a play. The girl forgot her, because you could just be funny with your boys and all the time, but that don't mean you can do that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You can do that.
Facts.
Right? The girl's microphone didn't work. And she tried to play it off and go off stage to get the microphone fixed. I'm from the theater world. I'm from old school. So now I'm on stage by myself. I start ad-libbing in character. I start improving. This goes on for 10 minutes.
Really? Wow.
10 minutes. Promoter comes over to me after the show and he was like, yo, that wasn't part of the script, huh? He was like, I said, yeah, I know. He's like, you ever did stand-up before? I was like, no. He was like, you should really, really consider getting into stand-up.
Really?
Like, so you just made all that shit up the top of your head and just, I was like, yeah. He was like,
wow.
All right. He said, you should consider it. And from that moment, I was like, yeah, but I knew. I was like, but I'm scared to death of this thing, right? But I was like, the only way I could do it is respect it. Like, respect the art, respect the craft of it. If I'm going to do it, I want to be great. I want to be one of the baddest that ever did it, but I got to do it my way. But I didn't know the rules. And I had to go through, like, the whole school of hard knocks, if you will, like, earn your stripes. Because this is a different community. It's a different fraternity. And I respect that. And it's like this, it's an art form. This like, whether it's structuring, segueing, reading. And so I started going, a couple of old school cats took me under their wing, talent from New York. Okay. And, different individuals here and there started, being like, because, if you, as an actor stepping into that lane, a lot of comedians might feel some sort of way because they're like, you doing what we trying to do. Or if you trying to come over here, you better come correct. And because that's how we feel about the same shit. Like, like if you going to do what we do, come correct.
Yeah.
And So I was embraced by a lot of people who saw my commitment and what I was trying to do, But, you had some haters too, but
Sure.
that fuels the fire for me. That's what makes me stronger,
Yeah.
If you're going to hate, I'm like, all right, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So you got all these credits to you, TV, movies, stage plays. I mean, what is there a to-do list for Carl Payne that says this is what I still have on my agenda?
I started wanting to do Broadway. That's the only thing I haven't done yet.
Okay.
So that's next on my agenda, Broadway. Yeah, I'm checking off all these things. That's like one of the last things on my list besides the accolades.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So being nominated for NAACP Image Award.
Congratulations.
NAACP.
That's right.
That's happening. So make sure you put the link. Tell everybody how to go vote. You got to go vote. You got until like the 24th to vote. I'm super stoked about that. Honored, blessed.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So, Carl, with all these other things you have going on, man, your career just been crazy, and watching you grow and do all these things, man. What's been the stage for you that's been like the biggest moment? Have you had? What was just the biggest moment for you?
I've had big moments, but since I'm not done, I can't say what the biggest has been.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's been big moments, yeah. There's been, but they're all victories. They're all like within their own thing. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't know that I haven't had the biggest moment yet.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I haven't had that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I haven't had that, so can't answer that.
Okay. So when you see things like the Cat Williams stuff going on and all this different back and forth, man.
Comic beef.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that kind of stuff?
Oh, I got jokes I can tell you about it. That's for sure. I got mad jokes. I feel like it's indicative to the world we're living in now, man. We're clickbait and everybody want to sell things and drum up controversy and all of this stuff. But, and it's weird when you culturally I don't like it.
Okay.
Culturally, I think it's whack. I think it's corny because it's like, do the math, look at the history. That's what they want. Stop it. Cut that out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
People battled on wax back in the day. And it wasn't like they hated each other either.
That's correct.
It was like they had a bravado about it, but it wasn't like, when I see you, I hate you, and I'm trying to cause, Yeah, so I think it's whack.
Gotcha.
I think it's whack. I don't.
Yeah. So I got a last question for you, man. We do a podcast on Tuesday called Classic Conversations, and I always end my show with the top 5.
All right, let's hit it.
So, give me your top 5 rappers of all time.
Dylon. Dylon. Dylon, Dylon, and Dylon. Yeah, it's my top 5.
That's your top 5?
It's my top 5. It's my top 5.
Oh, man. He said Dylon. Well,
It's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Hey, where do you go from there? But hey, man, this has been a pleasure.
Thank you, man.
I'm honored, brother, that you took the time to sit down with us, man, to sit down Uptown. I appreciate your time.
Well, first of all, congratulations to you for doing this for so long, man, and keeping this thing moving and keeping providing a platform for young brothers and sisters to, continue to curate their craft, man. You providing a service as well. So congratulations and thanks to you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from a brother like you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. So listen, just to sit down at Uptown with the honor and pleasure of interviewing Mr. Carl Payne. Thank you, sir.
Whoop, whoop. Yo, Dylon.
Dylon. And we out.